I'm not sure if you've seen this diagram before. In fact, actually, I'm sure that everybody has seen it before, but just doesn't realize where they've seen it. And the version of this diagram that you've seen didn't have the little fellow climbing up on the right-hand side or left-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side, I guess, on my right-hand side. So the image is there, obviously, of a pyramid. And the particular pyramid this is a pyramid produced by the USA government, and it's called the food pyramid. And the idea of the food pyramid, of course, was that each of the slices of the pyramid, the orange slice, the aqueous, greeny, bluey slice, depending on what color inkjet I have in my printer at the moment, and so on, all represent the types of food groups that you should be eating from. So the biggest food group there, which is either the blue side or the orange side, I guess, would be your grains. And you're meant to eat copious amounts of grains every day. And the other side, maybe the blue one or the orange one, whichever one you didn't pick, of course, would be your fruits and vegetables, 6 or 7 servings of those a day. The smallest slice would be, I believe, oils, so things like margarine or good old-fashioned olive oil, which is why a Mediterranean diet is so good for you. But the problem with the food pyramid was it makes you slim, but doesn't necessarily make you healthy. So the US government came out with a new version of the food pyramid. They may have changed some of the slices somewhat and decided that maybe bacon fat isn't really good for you after all. After all, the original one was brought out in the 60s, and maybe 3 grams of tobacco a day has come off this version of the food pyramid, and this one doesn't include it now. But the actual major addition is the guy climbing up on the left-hand side. And the guy climbing up on the left-hand side represents that you should also be exercising. And that was a big breakthrough that food technologists and dietitians made about 10 or 15 years ago, that you can diet all you like, but you won't be healthy unless you exercise as well. And it's the same thing with money. To my mind, there's been a school of money called personal finance or traditional personal finance, and there are millions of blogs and books about it, and they basically come up with a money pyramid, although not in this format. But if they did come up with a pyramid, it would basically be, the slices would be the basic things that you need to do, like save 10 or 15% of your gross income, pay yourself first, get out of debt, pay down debt and don't take on any consumer debt, put money into your 401k, and all the basic advice that you get on finance, as I said, for the personal finance people. The problem is that personal finance now needs a new money pyramid. I call it the money pyramid. We now need a new money pyramid. And the reason why is I think people are beginning to realize, and certainly everybody who watches these videos or joins in on any of my blogs, 7million7years.com or 7m7y.com, would realize by now that that is simply not going to make you rich. Just like eating healthy foods is not going to make you live longer. It will certainly stop you from dying young, but it won't necessarily make you live longer and healthier. And the reason is, when it comes to money, is that there's a force on the other end, and there's a force with health called old age. Your body begins to break down inexorably with old age, and unless you add in exercise, you simply can't overpower that immutable force. The immutable force in money that forces this pyramid to fail, the money pyramid to fail, the traditional one, is inflation. So you've got inflation, which is an immutable force. It's sopping away 4% so far, and maybe more over the next 10 or 20 years of your income, of your savings. Which means as fast as you're saving, this immutable force is moving along, chipping away at your money, to the extent that you may be saving and saving and saving, but your money will halve every 17 to 20 years if inflation is just 4%. If it's higher at 5%, probably halve every 16 or 17 years. So inflation is there. The other thing that's eating at us is human nature. So human nature says that while these are the things we should be doing, we'll forget to do it. So from time to time, we'll be out of a job and we'll forget to save our 10 or 15%. And then we'll get into a little bit of debt because we've got a problem. Or instead of staying invested in an index fund for 30 years to ride out the ups and downs, we'll start getting scared when the market crashes, selling out, then buying back in again, and all of a sudden we're actually market timing, and all of a sudden our returns are 11 or 12%, but they're going to be only 3.9%. And even if we stick with that fund, the other immutable force, of course, is things like fees. So the fees we pay, like 1.5% of fees on funds, that'll take another 35% off our portfolio at the end of 20 years. So we've got some problems with our old money pyramid, so we need the new money pyramid. And the new money pyramid is represented by the guy climbing the stairs on your left-hand side. And what this represents is exercising our money. And exercising money is all about putting some velocity into it. So any exercise is about movement. It's about cardio. We need to produce some cardio for our money. Now, is it risky when we do cardio exercise or add weight training or any other form of exercise into our normal diet? Absolutely, it's risky. But it's much less risky to do that than it is to die the certain death of not exercising at all. And I really should speak because I hardly exercise at all. But I'm working on it. So the point is that sure, you'll go see a doctor and you'll go see maybe to your local gym if you're going to start exercising, and you'll start off slowly and you'll build up exercising as you get more confidence, and you find you'll just exercise more and more and more as you get more and more confident, you get fitter and fitter and fitter, and you can handle quite high levels of exercise. In fact, your normal heart rate might be 95, but it can go up to 150, 160 quite safely, and you won't have, well, your normal heart rate might be 100 and something, I guess 104, 105, but it can go up to 150, 160 quite safely if you do it over a period of time. So there's nothing wrong with introducing a bit of cardio into your life, provided you do it carefully. Same thing with money. You need the velocity, and the velocity only comes from doing things that some people would consider to be risky. And the risky things you need to do are leverage and increase investment returns. So increasing investment returns is very simple. Don't necessarily just go to your 11% returning investments, less your fees, such as mutual funds. They're really returning you, anywhere from 9 to 10%. Start looking for other investments like real estate, like direct investment into 4 or 5 stocks that you believe are underpriced. Start to look around and try and find investments that will return more, or at least if you're going to invest in funds, invest in the lowest cost index fund there is. I think that's the worst outcome of those three, but at least you won't be paying the fees. So look for investments that will return a higher rate. Now, does that mean you go jump in and put all your money into real estate overnight? No. You would give yourself a heart attack, just like if you started lifting the heaviest weights. If you're going to gym, you start off slowly, build up your knowledge, build up your confidence, and build up over time. Same thing with investing in stocks. Maybe take 10% of your money out of your funds and start to invest, put them into 3 or 4 stocks, only 10%. Don't be tempted to buy and sell, but just see how those stocks go over a period of 1, 2, or 3 years. Once you get confident, add some more stocks, or take some more, preferably take some more money out of those traditional investments and put more money into the same stocks or into a few more stocks if you want. But again, I advocate as few stocks as possible, maybe 4 or 5 at the most, but that's up to you. But the point is that you start to do this slowly. Next, add some leverage into your diet. So if you're investing in stocks and you're quite comfortable, maybe start doing some margin lending. Maybe you'll take a HELOC against your home and use some of that borrowed funds to add to your stock portfolio. Maybe you'll do both, which is what I do. So you're really 100% invested in stocks. Who said that you can't be 100% geared into stocks? You just take a HELOC on your home, as I said, and margin lend the other half, and wacko, you're 100% invested in stocks as well. Same thing with real estate. Maybe you buy one little condo. If that works out well for you, then you go and buy 2. Then maybe you buy 4. And then maybe you move into something bigger. You do it over time as your confidence and your knowledge increases. So that's pretty straightforward. That's the new money pyramid. It's not risky. In fact, it's far safer than taking away the exercise. Because just as surely as, okay, you may not be poor, you may not die broke, but you sure as hell won't die rich.